Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse, only on Netflix.
The session is brought to you by More Beer, home of the all-new innovative Flash Brewing Kits. Go to morebeer.com today and check it out. Brew beer in 10 minutes or less. Hello, everybody. I'm Justin Crosley, and I'm still in Arizona on the road, having a great time, both at spring training and with brewers that I've been friends with and new brewers that I'm just meeting, which is what I'm doing today. I'm at Wren Brewing in Phoenix, Arizona. This is actually Phoenix, right? Or is this another suburb?
We are in Phoenix proper.
Phoenix
We are like, we can throw a stone at the airport.
Oh, heck yeah.
So.
I've been here for 2 weeks. It's the first time I'm in Phoenix proper, so I wanted to make sure. And I'm here with Drew Poole. He's the co-founder of Wren House, and also Matt Lillard, who's the production manager. And we're going to taste through some beers, even though it's, approximately 11 a.m. here. It's almost noon, right, guys? So
there's people in the tap room. It's
good.
Then
it's fine. Yeah. I mean, we all have to work a little bit, but whatever. We're going to taste through some beer today. You guys were recommended to me by several people, both when I got to town and before I got here. Derek Gallinosa from Goal was the first one who was like, oh, if you're going out there, you need to go to Wren House and try their beer, which is a pretty good recommendation from Derek.
Yeah, he's a big Suns fan, so he's in town. Nice. He's had our beers. Okay. I always see him check in our beers when he's going down to a Suns game. So
Heck yeah. He's a good brewer, too.
He's a great brewer.
So that was a good recommendation. And then the home brewers in town have told me to come here, and the Arizona Wilderness guys. So you have a good reputation.
Nice.
And I'm going to be honest, even right up to this moment, I've never had your beer. I meant to have it last week before I got here, and I just I haven't found it at a ballpark. I've been doing ball games.
Wow.
So
it's hard to get into some of those places, They got the big distributors. And
they do. It seems like that.
Yeah.
There is kind of a cool craft presence at a bunch of the stadiums, which is exciting to see. Like, it's not all, Michelob, right? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I haven't found you guys in some of my other favorites there.
Yeah,
I did see an ad running at one for Arizona Wilderness. They did an ad up on the billboard, which was pretty cool.
We need to get our distributor in shape. They need to be
get you in
running
there.
us ads.
Yeah, man. So this will literally be my first sip, and we're going to talk all about the history of Wren Brewing. But first, tell me what I'm drinking while I try your beer for the first time.
This is a Czech lager collab that we made with Holy Mountain and Structures for our lager event coming up in a few weeks. It's unfinished right now. It's still in tank. This is directly off the tank.
Oh, nice.
But whole cone, Czech saws, so some styles we love brewing, but some processes that we've just wanted to experiment with. So we got a hop back with our Prescott facility when we got that 4 or 5 years ago. Just been waiting for reasons to use it. We've used it once before on one of our triple IPAs.
Okay.
And we just wanted to use it again. So
yeah.
It was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but the end product that we're tasting right now is phenomenal. I think you really get everything from that whole cone saws. This is just one of the favorite beers that we've brewed down here in a long time.
Well, it's funny too, as a drinker, when you hear whole cone, you probably think like hop overload or something that's going to be unbalanced or whatever. But if anything, it's delicate, right? It's very faint.
Yeah. It has a firm bitterness, which is nice.
Yep.
But you can get that from pellets too. Like, what was you didn't just want to use the hop back, you wanted to use whole cones.
A little bit of both, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, some people will just add them directly in the kettle and
Yeah.
then just do that as their whirlpool hop. But with the hop back, we just knocked out directly through the hop back. So our small brewery over here is a 10-barrel system when we have 30-barrel tanks. So the first 2 turns on that actually utilize the hop back.
I see.
So, and then the third turn we chased it with.
It's a long day.
It's a fun day, but it was a
Okay.
long day.
Okay,
yeah. But it's just a process. You know, collabs, we like to kind of push the bar a little bit and
Yeah.
have a little bit of fun, experiment the recipes, you know, and we just talk back and forth with our friends and all that stuff and just come up with a good process that we think is going to work. And maybe the beer is going to be good, but then this one's great.
It is great.
Um,
and it's all Czech saws all the way through?
Yep.
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 Will this be in cans and stuff distributed as well? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're having a we're having a lager fest.
Nice.
Here in a few weeks. So we've got a number of lagers sort of in the works right now. So we have this one with Holy Mountain Structures. We have a Bierstadt collab, and a couple other ones. Right?
Yeah, we have a rice lager with Wayfinder, and we
nice.
did a Bach with Outer Range.
So you got all the great
And
lager breweries. Bierstadt's amazing too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
nice work.
Yeah,
it was
and,
fun having them out and hanging
Yeah,
out.
and I actually came down and hung out and brewed some beer.
So that's cool. It wasn't just the email collab. Nice. Nicely done. All my collabs are email.
sometimes you kind of have to do the whole email collab because everybody's all over the planet right now. But,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah.
That's nice though. And what did you brew with the Bierstadt guys? I'm just curious.
I think we just called it a Southwestern Pilsner.
Okay.
So it's just all Arizona grains. And a fun thing we did was we took a bunch of our noble hops that we have up in Prescott, and when Ashley got in town, we just opened them all up on the table, and we made the hop schedule and the hop bill day of.
Oh, nice.
And just found out which ones we were vibing on that day, and we just rolled with it.
That's
that
great.
one's also tasting phenomenal.
And when is Lagerfest?
March 22nd.
It's like 3 days after I leave. Damn it.
Well, we probably have some stuff in cans we can.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Well, I want to experience Lagerfest. Is it your first one or?
So this is actually going to be the second one. So it's different than the original one we did. So we did one a number of years ago, pre-COVID, and we had Shelton Brothers here as an importer, especially an importer that they did around the country. But they were at that time they were down to basically give you their license as an importer for the day or for the weekend.
Right.
So we were able to we brought in Bierstadt, we brought in DeGard, we had Heater Allen, we had, basically the who's who of lager breweries down here in Phoenix. And we rented out an old building downtown Phoenix. And I think we limited tickets, like 200 tickets. And we had all these breweries and brewers down. We had a seafood guy locally that's really famous pop up and do oysters.
Wow.
And it was killer. And everybody's like, when are you going to do that again? Challenge was Shelton Brothers went out of business basically the year after. So we were kind of in a corner with licensing and then COVID and all this stuff, right? So this go around is going to be at our own place with, our own beers. So we, avoid the licensing requirements.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I have to ask you this though. I hope you don't mind. So I run a beer festival too.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't possibly have made money on a 200-person festival.
You
lost money.
We lost money.
Yeah. Okay.
It was. I
just want to know if you knew some secret I don't.
No. It was a passion project for sure. We did. I mean, from what I remember, the tickets were expensive just to attempt to cover all the costs.
Yeah. Okay.
But we were also, and I think a lot of events have gone this way where the events now, rightfully, pay for the beer, and they, oftentimes put brewers up in hotels, and so we did all that, and it was expensive, right?
Yeah, of course. And what will your capacity be of this one doing at your own facility?
Not a ton. I think it's going to be, we can get 100-ish people comfortably here. We close down the patio and the parking lot and turn it into a beer garden.
Yeah. I like your style though. Like the exclusivity of it then too is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, we like to do things small and organically as much as possible. We don't like to force things.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, we're doing a Lagerfest. If you're interested, come on by.
Right.
And then people come.
Man, I got to take some notes from you. Like, I have this attitude all the time that, like, if there's not 1,000 people, I failed.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But honestly, especially at my bar, if I do events there, 100 people would be perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, it's not enough.
We did So it's been fun. We opened a restaurant recently down in, people don't call it South Phoenix, but it's like Ahwatukee, kind of down by Chandler.
Okay.
But it's literally south of here. So people call it South Phoenix. But we did like a Rolling Thunder Oktoberfest celebration. So every weekend we did like a little Oktoberfest party. Mm-hmm. But we would feature, we had like Hofbrau in, and we had Eyinger and some other.
Nice.
And we would just, basically devote a bunch of tap handles and give out some, just something small and low key, and people came out and enjoyed it. Not everything needs to be huge.
Right. And that's what I do. If I do pay attention, I find that just doing a little something, people they want a theme. They want something to celebrate. Anything like that does kind of work.
They want a theme, for sure.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little more about this hop back in the beer. Were there any struggles with it? Was it the first time you were using it, or what?
First time I've used it personally. So struggles on the first part. We were a little messy getting the hops into the actual basket. So some of the leaves made it outside, which we had to reprime our pump quite a few times. But second turn, we figured it out. Everything was flawless.
Nice.
I mean, it's about, probably 3-4 feet wide. It's just this huge basket.
Okay.
And it's just hot wort pouring over in this little, waterfall-y type.
Oh, so it's not. For some reason, was thinking of like a pressurized tank, even that it's flowing.
It's just
through,
wide open. It's just a huge bowl.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the wort will come up and just splash over the top in some water fountain-ish type, method. Yeah. And then you're pulling from the bottom outside the basket through your heat X right to your tank.
Okay.
So it's just 209-degree boiling wort and just going right over, and it's just the whole brewery just smells like fresh hops.
And is it then going back to the kettle, or it's on its way out of the kettle?
Yep. So out of the kettle, through the hop back, straight through your heat X, straight into your fermenter.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. And would you call it a success?
Oh, yeah.
And now do you want to use it on hoppy, IPAs
100%.
and stuff? Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Every fresh hop season, we get really excited about that, and we change our process every year with our hobby beers. But I think having it down here in Phoenix again this year, it'll be used 100%.
Nice.
I can't wait for it.
So this has Saaz spice, like everything you want out of Czech Saaz, and then like a crazy fresh hop character to it. Like it's a little green. It tastes a little fresher. Not just to me, pellet Saaz are just super focused on the earthy, spicy. This you just get a little more flowery,
the
freshy.
Floral spiciness. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a good beer. What's it called?
We're just calling it Czech Lager, just whole cone Czech.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, so for this Lagerfest, we tend to go down the rabbit hole of naming conventions, but this time let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
So this one's a Czech Pils, and then we have, I guess, the Southwest Lager is the one that we took some creative inspiration from. But
okay. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the history. Do you want to pour us another beer?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
A pale or something?
Do the House Cat.
I'm a pale ale fan. So you guys opened in, I think, 2015. Is that right?
2015, yeah.
Where is this your first location?
Right here.
Okay.
Yeah, 24th Street.
Are you a native of
I am.
Arizona?
I'm born and raised in Phoenix.
In Phoenix. Okay. Yes. Got it.
Phoenix proper.
What was your background before opening the brewery?
So my background is still currently my job as well. So I work in the tech industry as well. So
you want to get paid, basically.
Right. Yeah. Well, our banks like that as well. So so I worked at Intel. I still work at Intel, and I met my business partner there in Phoenix. As part of that, I moved up to Portland, Oregon for a bit. And, got to know the Portland beer scene. And it was very much, I think, like what we've created here of local neighborhood breweries, 10-barrel size that are, basically consuming everything they produce in-house. I mean, now, a lot of those breweries like Gigantic have grown to multiple tap rooms and they're distributing and whatever. But that ethos is very much still there, like tap room first sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So I was like, hey, Phoenix needs something like that. I think the market's ready for it. Being from here, I thought it was a great opportunity. So part of that challenge was trying to find a place that was conducive to that idea. So something unique, not something in a strip mall,
right?
Not knocking on strip mall breweries, but that's what we have in Phoenix. It's strip malls everywhere, and it's something that people complain about a lot, and we hear it. So we wanted to find something unique. So this is actually an old bakery.
Okay.
So we found a old interpretation from the city of Phoenix, like in the 80s, that said bakeries and breweries were the same thing to them.
Interesting.
So that followed the zoning, and then so we found this zoning, and we moved into this building, which is a former bakery. So Yeah, that's how we got started, and we started it with 10-barrel system, and we've slowly grown the cellar here to now about 2,000 barrels.
That's a lot. And you started with the brewery and a tasting room simultaneously?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the license in Arizona is very friendly to the breweries, so it's a Series 3. So you're allowed to have a brewery and a tap room as part of it.
Okay.
So as part of having a tap room too, we were in 2015. This was like pre-hazy IPA. So and also pre-canning. Like breweries weren't doing 16-ounce 4-packs really.
No bottles.
It was all bottles, right? So we started experimenting. Our first anniversary, we did a 16-ounce can release, and I remember doing it so vividly because we got reported. Somebody reported us to the state and said they're not allowed to do this under their license because it was gray area and nobody was doing it.
Yeah.
So luckily the state said, thanks, but we don't really care.
What's the difference?
Yeah, it's basically because at the time everybody was doing growlers, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, well, what's the difference between a growler and a can? We just have fancier equipment.
Right. And some get off my lawn dude decided to report you.
Yeah. So we went with the can, and then it's been history since. So like we try to do can releases almost every week of something different for the last 10 years.
Cans are crazy now. It's such an astonishing to me how much they've taken over the format.
Yeah.
I hope this is. I always worry about asking this question like I'm missing something, like I'm not smart enough to know what is Wren House.
Oh yeah. So we had a different name before we opened. I probably can't say what the name was, but we had another name, and then we got a cease and desist literally a month before we opened. So we had glassware, we had a sign, we had merch, we had everything, and it wasn't. I mean, I'm playing the stupid card. This other business wasn't in operation. They basically beat us to the punch and got the trademark right before we did.
I see.
And that brand is now a very popular whiskey brand.
Okay.
And so anyway, so we lost that. We weren't going to win it. So we changed. So Wren House, so a couple things. One, we're in a little house. And then the Cactus Wren is the state bird of Arizona. So we were like...
Okay. Little Wren House.
Wren House.
Okay. Good. I was never going to be that clever to figure that out. So,
well, I mean, it's the 2-word, random brewery names, right?
Right. Yeah.
You never know what the inspiration is.
Totally. So you started with this one, but you now have 3 tasting rooms, or?
Yeah, technically, yeah. So we have this brewery and tasting room. Prescott, we bought the former Prescott Brewing Company production location during COVID. So that's a production facility we do like 6,000 barrels out of, but we also have a beer garden up there. So we bought a tap truck during COVID, brought it up there and turned it into a patio.
Okay.
And then we have a bar and restaurant in South Phoenix.
Okay.
And we're opening a cask bar in the next month or so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And Prescott's like nice year round, right? Like no 110 degree summer?
It's a mile up. So it's
it's snowing up there this morning.
Oh, so they do get cold though. All right.
It's literally Denver altitude.
Got it. Okay. I've never been, but I've just heard great things. So as soon as you said Prescott, I'm like, yeah, I would open in Prescott.
Denver elevation. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's nice up there. It's an easy hour and a half drive, and it's always 20 plus degrees cooler than here.
Okay. And sorry if this is too personal, but you keep your tech job. I joked, of course, it's that you want to make money, but I'm sure the breweries are doing fine if you have these locations. But do you like it? Why do you stay at your tech job?
The breweries are doing well. I mean, I'd be lying if we haven't had the same challenges as most other breweries.
Okay.
But I think we're doing well as a brewery, and I credit a lot of that to my business partner Bill.
Nice.
But I mean, part of it originally it was our bank liked that I had a job because it was less risk. They're like, oh yeah, we'll give you a loan as long as you keep your day job.
Okay, that's interesting.
So for the first 7 years, Bill and I never pulled the salary, so we didn't take any money because we had our day jobs and we just worked our day jobs.
Let's just grow the company.
Bill decided to take one of the separation packages from Intel and came out the brewery full time. But yeah, it was just a way that any money that we made from the brewery, we just put back into it.
Okay.
So instead of paying ourselves a salary, we said, well, we can buy a new fermenter, or we can
it's a good business model, really.
Give people raises or whatever. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't take a salary from the Brewing Network either because they just don't exist. There's nothing to put back in.
Right.
Okay, yeah, again, sorry if that's too personal. I'm just always curious. Like,
I'm an open book. So
another
whatever.
one of my favorite breweries in Oakland, they're doing great, Ghost Town Brewing Company,
okay,
if you've
yeah.
ever had their beer. If you haven't, do so. But their founder works in tech industry and still does.
Yeah.
And they're growing in open breweries, and I'm always the same thing. I'm like, man, why don't you quit your day job yet? And he's like, well, just keep putting money back in the brewery.
Yeah,
you know?
right. And believe me, I hear it every day, and now people at my work know that I do the brewery stuff, and they ask me almost every day,
Right.
like, why are you still here?
Yeah. All right. Well, I have a delicious beer in my glass now. Tell me about this one, Matt.
This is House Cat. House Cat is the theme of House Cat is from our brewery cat Gravy. He is one of our most valuable employees.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll preface this. For the 10-year anniversary, we're doing 10 events throughout the year. And the first one this year was Gravy Day.
Nice.
So this was a release for that event. It's just a hazy pale ale. Lower ABV beers do really great in our tap room. And also the brewers just really enjoy drinking them a lot more too. It's just something that we've been craving a lot. It's just like what did this one finish at? 5% ABV.
Okay. Super light color, like SRM, I mean.
Yep.
Like
Just
if
a
it wasn't
light pale.
hazy, it would be so clear and light. Yeah.
This is the color that I really strive for in our
Nice.
hazy beers. Just that really bright, pale haze. So this is one. It was part of the Hop Forward program that we're in with Yakima Chief.
What is that?
There's a selected amount of breweries in the country that pretty much just get exclusive experimental hops with them, and then we'll fill out paperwork. We'll do sensory panels on it. We'll mail them beer, send it through their labs as well.
Well, I would say hops and hop products.
And
right?
hop products.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
hop oils and things like that.
Okay. Flowables and stuff like that.
Yep. So we'll just work with them, and this one was with HBC 989, which reminded us a lot of like old school Citra, like just like Citra 7 or 8 years ago. And then so we paired that with our select Citra for Spellbinder, which is like really bright orangey, like peachy.
Yeah.
Just a softer Citra. And we just got that 5% ABV packed with aroma, packed with flavor, and just really letting that 989 shine. That was the most of the dry hop, because when we did the sensory panel with them, we wanted that to be the predominant hop.
Yeah. Did you, in your sensory, was there any like, I'm picking up like a little tannin or a little wood?
Not
Maybe it's
really,
not tannin,
no.
it's wood. No. The citrus you mentioned is 100% there. Yeah. Okay.
Well, so when you mentioned that you're a pale ale fan, I'm also a pale ale fan. When you say that, do you mean classic, like Sierra Nevada pale ale? Like
well, that is one of my favorite beers on earth. But no, a total new school pale ale
school
is
pale
fine
ale,
too.
okay.
A Pale 31 from Firestone, they call it a California Pale. That's probably my favorite all time. We just did a Pale 48 collab with Arizona Wilderness, named after your state. That was a bit like the. So no, it can be a new school for sure. It's usually not hazy. I don't mind hazy beer, but I would normally order just a clear.
Right.
But I guess anything West Coast pale, which I would call this West Coast in hopping, just not in clarity.
Not pale.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been interesting. Traveling a lot, you start seeing a lot of beer bars, especially kind of relaxing their definition of, like they'll say on the beer menu, pale ale.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, okay, I'll order pale ale, and then it's a hazy, and you're like, well, what the?
So 100%.
Yeah.
But you call this one a hazy pale ale.
For sure.
So I thank you for that, because even at my bar, when the cans come in sometimes, if it doesn't tell, and I bring beer home, and then I crack it open and it's hazy and it doesn't say that on the can, that's annoying.
It is.
I'll buy a hazy, but I want to know.
But I want to know what I'm getting into.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. If it just says pale ale on the menu,
yeah,
it should be clear.
It should be clear.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. But the range of hopping on a pale ale now, to me, is very broad.
For sure.
Like you can go classic, like even lighter than Sierra Nevada.
Oh, yeah.
Or almost an
like
IPA.
an English style. Where
Or
it's
English
like,
style, all the way to like, I'm almost an IPA.
Yeah, there's a great brewery up in Portland that I love called Ferment. They're actually outside of Portland. They're in Hood.
Okay.
But they do an English pale ale, and it is, again, like very English, very light on the hopping, almost just like has a nice bitterness and whatever.
Nice.
But
yeah,
I mean, the range is so huge that you got to be more specific.
Right. and maybe, do you guys enter competition at all?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So there's is it a session pale ale? Is it a strong pale ale, or is that an IPA? Like that's, to me, I know some other consumers like those distinctions. To me, that's just for competition. I entered a strong pale ale.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys think about that.
Well, yeah, I don't think most consumers even know or would care about.
But I have in my bar, I have to put that on the menu. Whatever you guys call it is what we call it.
Sure.
We don't correct you. So we'll put strong pale ale up there, and it's, I don't know, whatever. It's a 5.9%. It's a pale ale.
Right. They're like
Yeah. Oh, this beer is absolutely delicious.
Yeah, so hopped like our hazy IPAs, you know, just 100% Whirlpool editions.
Okay.
If we're doing the clear style like our West Coast, we really pack our bittering charging early in the kettle on those. So that's the biggest difference. But, I mean, this is one of my favorite hazy pales we've done in a long time. The last one we did was a smaller version of our Spellbinder, our house hazy IPA, which was really popular as well.
So you think that's because of this new hop, this experimental hop, that it's one of your favorites now, or?
It shines in this one really well. The color of it, the mouthfeel on it, that one hop to it. I mean, if given the chance, I'd buy that hop again. I think that's really one of the big things that happens from this Hop Forward program is we're getting the option to use these hops, and we give the feedback on them whether we like them or don't. I have not had an experimental hop from them that I've been like, I wouldn't use it.
Right.
So it's an awesome program for Wren House.
Nice.
Yeah, I think the challenge is with, I think just hazy beers in general. I won't be, on my soapbox for long about this, but like, I think for a lot of the hazy drinkers, they expect dense mouthfeel, like very thick, viscous, like hoppy beers.
It's too much.
So when you have something light like this, where it drinks like a pale ale, it has some haze to it. You're kind of in that no man's land of, the hazy IPA drinkers don't really gravitate towards it. The pale ale traditionalists don't really gravitate towards it. So it's almost like this, unique position that is hard.
Okay, well, now I'm going to put you on the spot
Yeah.
out of one of your own beers. I'm pretty sure I saw on your beer menu like a double hazy IPA.
Yes.
Did I see that?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think about the mouthfeel of that? Does that go into this territory you're talking about?
So the production team knows that
Sorry,
I am just like beating a dead horse with this, but I'm always like I like I mentioned earlier, I'm front of house, like that's my kind of focus area. So I always listen to the customers and I take customer feedback.
Yeah.
And it's, I look at trends and all the, like the hype breweries and what they're brewing. And Preston, our head brewer, will tell you that he tries to explain to me that, you can do those super, super dense mouthfeel beers on a smaller system with shorter shelf life, but you're going to get dropout and all this stuff. He's like, at our size, it's really not feasible to be making those beers, but they will kind of, patronize me and say they are doing like things.
We find a balance.
Increase mouthfeel, but they don't like drinking those beers, right? So they're like, well, I want something that is crisp and clean and sessionable and drinkable. They don't want sugar bombs and
Of course.
Yeah.
This is the challenge, by the way, that I find in almost every brew house I go to, where there's what the consumer wants and what the brewer drinks. And all of you drink this Czech lager and a crisp pale ale.
We make beers for the consumers all the time. We have a triple IPA series, which, I don't know when's the last time I saw one of our brewers drinking one of them, but they sell out all the time. It's a Wally series. It's named after Bill. Drew mentioned him earlier, his dog. And it's just, you have to find the balance of not making it just cloyingly sweet. You have to get that attenuation in the right spot. And I think we're there on that beer. Some people might want it to be a little more sweet, but we have a good balance with it.
Yeah, I think the challenge is like, we're sort of in like a session industry where it's like you're drinking a lot often. Yeah. So it's kind of like you gravitate towards easy drinking things. You don't want to like, go for a big beer and take yourself out for the day. Sort of thing.
Well, this hazy pale ale, even if you didn't label it that way, if I ordered it at your tap room, I'd be disappointed when I saw it in the glass, but I'd be super stoked when I drank it. It's a delicious beer. I guess, I don't know why I've not asked another Arizona brewer this question yet. Water. And and I'm not that scientific, so we can just skim the surface on this. But you can't just take Arizona water and brew beer there,
Well,
right?
okay,
Water
so
here is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay.
It made my dog sick the other day when I got there. And it's my fault. I knew that it's hard water, right? Is that what you
Yeah,
guys said?
very
Okay.
hard.
And
very
I
hard.
I came from California and I ran out of water and I was like, it's a dog. I'm going to take it off the tap. And I go on about my day and I come back to a mess.
Oh,
in the
no.
yard. So now
Yeah.
now the dog's drinking Avion, for God's sake, because that's what was at the store.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
go
I
on.
mean, okay. So I know Matt's the brewer, so he'll comment. But from my point of view, right, being born and raised here, very hard water. Like you have to replace your shower heads every
right.
few years because
Yeah.
it calcifies. There's
Yeah.
so much calcium and just other minerals in it that it's crazy to brew with. So yeah, we have an RO system here, but the cool thing is our Prescott facility. Prescott has much better water because it's
Okay. Is it like mountain water?
it's like mountain water.
Okay. Yeah.
So we actually blend in like straight well water
Depending on style we have.
from Prescott into our beers, whereas here it's 100% RO that we add back in
I see.
whatever.
So you can RO what's coming out of the pipes, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. Okay, there's not some other treatment. Just what, and then you build it back.
Yep. So we have reservoirs in both of our facilities, and we just start with a clean slate.
Okay.
We just build a water profile based on the style and based on the beer, and we dial it in all of our salt additions and go from there.
So the luxury of that is you get to build water for every single beer.
Yes. The downfall of it, though, is it kind of strips away, the local feel. I love when
yeah.
breweries use, like in Prescott, and when they have that availability. I love when they can just use local water.
Yeah.
It just adds something to that beer, to that brand, which is really cool.
Which, of course, is like the traditional thing about
Yeah.
beer. There's a reason
Yeah.
a Czech Pils is a Czech Pils, and
Right.
it's usually water.
Right. Exactly.
We brewed a
Right.
beer with Pat McElhaney, and he came up to Prescott to brew on that system, and he was like, Prescott has the best water in the country.
Well, it was
Oh,
funny
wow.
because
Wow.
when we were talking to him, he was like, "I have a couple of requirements. One, we're using whatever water you got.
Okay.
He's like, we're not doing anything to it. So yeah, he was geeking out over our water source up in Prescott because
That's
it's.
cool.
I mean, again, if you're not from Arizona, you're probably like Prescott, like where the hell is that?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when you drive up there, it's again, it's like high prairie, like high desert,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, you get all the benefits of the snowfall and northern Arizona, and then you have some amazing well water and groundwater up there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I want to try some more beer and talk about some more things with Wren House. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do just that. We're going to talk beer, we're going to drink beer, and we're going to learn everything we can about Wren House from Drew and Matt. Hang in there. You're listening to The Session. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. I'm still hanging out with Wren House in one of their little houses. You guys have grown across the street to a little cottage that is currently the Brewing Network studio on the road.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we couldn't, keep all of our brewers and managers in the same little dingy, mop closet that we had across the street.
makes sense, yeah.
My desk is still over there.
Well, Matt, sorry, bro.
Okay, all right. We're not airing grievances right now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're going to try some more beer, like I was promised, which I'm excited about. We were talking about hop selection at the break too, and I just there were some interesting comments that I thought we should talk about a little bit, even though I said we'd avoid hop selection because we talk about it a lot. But I did tell you guys that all my favorite brewers and the ones I see win like multiple awards, they go to hop selection. And how long have you guys been doing that as a brewery? Like not since the beginning. Most don't.
No.
Yeah.
4 years?
Yeah, 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. And do you feel, Matt, like that there's been a strong difference in the quality of your beer since being able to select your own hops?
100%. I mean, we're always tweaking our beers and recipes, but once you get those selected hops in and you remember, you go back to that day you were doing the rubbing on that table of all of the varieties, and then you get them in, because when you do the selection, it's whole leaves. It's cores out of the actual bales. And so when you get your pellets to the brewery, there's a difference to them. So it's interesting the day they arrive, and then it's interesting seeing how they change your beer year to year.
Okay. And you've learned now over the years, like exactly what you like out of, I don't know, this hop, out of that hop. I want my mosaic to be just like this.
When we sit around that table, we've got a system. We don't talk to each other.
Nice.
And then once we go through every one of the lots, and then that's when we're just like, all right, we open up for discussion. we played this game last year. We were like, all right, on 3, point to the one you like the most. And if you don't point to the one that everybody else pointed to, you're like, you got to defend yourself.
Okay,
But,
I thought you were going to say you're buying dinner or something.
It's pretty unanimous. We've got it down to a system.
Well, I would say too that before we were doing hop selection, especially like again the hop selection is mostly for hops that we use in our core hazies, but before that we were doing a lot of spot market. So you would be buying stuff basically sight unseen. Obviously, you're just buying it based on maybe some alpha whatever.
Yep.
And you would get it and it could be amazing or it could be not.
Of course. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then you got to use it, right? I mean, hops are not cheap, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's been nice to have that confidence of quality.
And then since we're on hops and you're in this experimental program, do you have a favorite hop that's no longer experimental, like something new that everyone can get now?
My favorite thing that I've done with some of the experimentals out of Yakima is their Hyper Boost and Dyna Boost that they've come out. When we first started using it, they didn't have names yet. It was 702, 701.
Okay. Those are actual hops, not hop products?
Hop products.
Okay.
Made with some of the popular varieties.
Okay.
So we get the Citron Mosaic. I think they made an Idaho 7-1. But using that in the process, we'll add them directly into the fermenter after knockout. And then I can go through the whole process. But it's that beer is just, the aroma is through the roof.
Okay.
And it's just like when you try a new product, you never know what it's going to end up like. And that was actually the first time we used these products, we got Hazy Imperial IPA medal at GABF with that beer.
Nice. Okay.
And that was just kind of the proof in the pudding. And we were like, wow, like this is, we like using this.
I've had brewers tell me that that it's all going to be hop products soon, and that maybe not soon, that it's all going to go, hops will go away as we know them, and it will be hop products.
I mean, it definitely helps with your, again, from my point of view, when you're looking at the bottom line, I mean, it helps your efficiency, how much beer you make. And I mean, sometimes, or a lot of times, it makes the beer taste better. So it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well,
let's go.
Why not?
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think 1 kilogram of that oil was the equivalent of 44 pounds. So I mean, with the absorption of all your hops and everything, you're getting 3 extra barrels on that tank.
And if the aroma's even better, like it blows your mind, that's great. Okay, well, switching from hops all the way down to a ESB is what is this beer that we have?
This is Hooks and Dunn. So we have a bunch of fly fishing themed beers.
Great name.
Preston is an avid fly fisherman.
Okay.
So
Preston's one of your brewers also?
Founding brewer.
He's your founding brewer. Okay.
Yep. So just classic ESB, straight to style. We've had it a few years in a row now. 2 years ago, what year did it win? 2023, it got bronze at GABF.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And that was a fun one because it's one of the recipes that we don't brew. It's not always on our tap list, but when it is, when that brew day is coming up, we always just get the team together, chat about it. Mm-hmm. Like we were talking about water earlier. The water chemistry on this one is one of the ones we've been trying to dial in the most.
Okay. And do you go like you're trying to get Burton-on-Trent water?
Just classic water, 100%. Yep. Mm-hmm. And EKG, it was really hard to find East Kent Golding for a while. Mm-hmm. We sourced some from buddies of ours and good lots. We had some lots that were just not that good. The one that won was actually one of the ones that we really enjoyed, but last year's we were not crazy about it. But this one that you're drinking right now is my favorite EKG lot that we've got.
Okay.
So,
do you use EKG in something else besides this beer?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
We don't keep it on hand.
Yeah.
So we just, when we went to go order it, and they were like, we don't have any. And we went to go try and find other sources, and they were like, we don't have any either.
Interesting.
It's like, where's all the EKG? And then we talked to people, and we haven't had it in years. And we're like, what's going on? So we finally found some, and this is one of the best batches to date. Just classic ESB.
Yeah.
Nothing, no frills, just.
It's got some real bitterness to it, which I like. Mm-hmm. A lot of times the ESBs are a little too soft, I think, a little too, it's obviously malt forward, but it has a bitter, clean finish, a super dry finish, which is nice. This is a great beer.
I always find that my test with the ESB is always the aroma, right? I mean, it's like it's got to have that like almost molassesy kind of character in it, and then it drinks lighter than expected, right? It's like, I don't know, a complex yet sessionable beer.
It's not often brewed over here now, but when our new location, the cask-focused bar, opens up, we'll brew it a lot more often.
Okay.
We'll have it on machines over there, cask pours of it.
So tell me about this you're going to have a whole cask bar? I feel like you're gambling on this one.
Well, okay. So to your the conversation earlier, we were talking about festivals.
Yeah.
People want a theme, right?
Right. True.
So our we've kind of underplayed it, but our bar restaurant in South Phoenix or Ahwatukee is German themed. So it's a German bar. The food is, German influence. It's not, schnitzel sort of thing, but more kind of like an American version. And then we have, import German beers on draft and then our own beers. But, the cask angle, like, we're drinking Hooks and Done here. It's always been a passion of ours. We've done casks since the day we opened.
Okay.
We just do, every batch of beer we make, we'll fill a cask of it. And
Nice.
we'll either, hop it with something or, whatever, age it.
Is that just because, like, your personal experience, you grew up loving cask beer or something?
I think, honestly, I would say it was maybe Preston and I's sort of like, brain meld of, things he likes, things I like. I do love traditional English styles. I think cask is a sadly underappreciated style, right? I think partially it's, one, like Americans have a certain view of cask ale, like warm, flat beer. And I think Todd at Good Word in Georgia, they have this shirt that says, who likes warm, flat beer anyways? Because they have a cask bar as well.
Yeah, nice.
But I think when it's done right, it can be really eye-opening and a really cool experience. And, sadly, the few places that we had in Phoenix that used to do cask, like proper cask on a cask engine, have gone away, or they don't do it anymore.
And is that how traditional you plan to be? Do you want, and so you want that like a lower temperature or higher temperature, I should say, and off of an engine?
So they will be off an engine. They will be slightly chilled, so kind of more appealing to the American palate.
Will there be hops added directly to the cask?
So it depends. So we're planning on doing our full core lineup on cask. So we'll have like our hazy IPA on cask, which again, like Heady Topper in Vermont, you can get on cask at their bar.
Interesting,
which is cool. But we're gonna get fun with it too. The plan is just to rotate, so we'll have beers that we make, and we'll just fill some casks and then
bring them over. Is there a way now? Is there like modern technology that keeps casks from going bad after 2 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there is some improvements, so they are a little more shelf stable.
Okay.
But that said, we still want to or expect to run through a cask. I mean, if we're talking about different sizes, like whether it's a pin or a full-on cask, like in a couple days.
Okay.
That's the goal.
I'm going to tell you that I worry for you, but I'm also going to tell you that every time I tell someone about their idea that I worry for them, it's a huge success. So this is probably a good thing that I'm telling you this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, we're also, I think everybody a lot of people we talk to, they're always kind of like, why the hell would you do that? Like, what's wrong with you?
Right. I mean, I'm ready to go there, but you want the masses ready to go
there.
Yeah.
Right. I think my confidence has been boosted by places that do cask and they do it well. Like, again, Brick Store Pub in Georgia, Todd at Good Word, they do cask and they are super intentional and super passionate about it. And people show up and people drink it.
Nice.
Because they know they care about it, they know it's done right, and they know it's delicious. So, I mean, our motto's always been, if we brew all these random styles like an ESB and do it well, people will appreciate it.
I think you're right. You guys also brew a ton of different beer. Like I went through your menu yesterday and was really surprised to find out how many different beers.
Yeah, we don't count anymore.
So good call.
Yeah.
Was that always like the idea, or is it just?
No.
Okay,
I mean, we part of why we started and part of our love for beer is just all of the styles and all of the nuances between a Czech Pils versus a German Pils versus, whatever. And we want to recreate it. And I think it's partially a challenge of like, how can we do this well and to tradition and pay respect for it. And then also kind of to see what sticks and what people like and gravitate towards. You know?
Sure. Well, can you tell me about the malt bill on this ESB? Or is that a secret? Or
It's not secret.
You're thinking about it.
It's just pretty classic. I'd have to look it up. It's Maris Otter base.
Okay, yeah.
Some C45 in there. I'd have to look at the rest of the grain bill.
Okay. But
As-
basically
as
that.
we brew so many styles, they all kind of blend in my mind.
Is there anything like new that you're like, oh, we have to add Pilsner malt to lighten it, to make it dry like this?
For this
Is it
one, no.
nothing
No,
like
we
that.
do
It's
all
still
Maris
just-
Otter base.
Yeah, super traditional. So it's all
Okay.
British malt, British hops.
Yeah.
You know.
It's great. Reminds me of Firestone Double Barrel. I don't know if they call that at ESB. I don't know what they call that, but just a great malt focus. Theirs is a little sweeter. This goes like nice and dry. This is a good beer.
Yeah.
Well done. I can see why. And you said it won like a bronze, right? That's pretty good, man. Nicely done. Well, should we move to an IPA finally?
Sure.
I only say it that way because it doesn't often take long in this show to get to an IPA.
A clear beer.
Yeah. Oh, and a clear beer. All right.
It
Well,
is
this
what-
one, your
what sells.
ESB is pretty darn clear. I'll tell you that. Nice color on that. So what's this one? It's called Ruru.
This is called Ruru. Interesting name, I know. It was almost called More Pork, so we settled on Ruru.
I like both, actually. That's funny. Ruru probably sells better.
This is a collab with Kyle from Horace. He was in town, and we just decided to whip a beer up together.
Okay.
And just like how I was explaining earlier with the Bierstadt collab, opening up a bunch of noble hop bags, and just we went into this day with a grain bill in mind, some discussion before, and we just had a little hop sensory before the brew day, and we just ran with it.
A dank aroma.
We landed on Billy Goat Chinook on this one
Okay.
and blended in with New Zealand hops.
Oh, interesting.
So
which New Zealand hops?
It was Waimea on the hot side.
Okay.
Billy Goat Chinook all throughout the bittering. All of our bittering charges were that Billy Goat Chinook. And then
Billy Goat is the farm?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, okay,
So that's
yeah.
out of Montrose, Colorado.
Oh,
so
right,
we actually
okay.
get phenomenal hops from them. They got, I think, best Cascade in the country 2 years in a row.
Wow, nice.
Is that what it was? And so we just wanted to highlight the Billy Goat Chinook. And then for the dry hop on this one, not a big pound per barrel amount, but it's half Billy Goat Chinook and then half Cohia Nelson,
Got it.
which is Nelson pelletized with dehydrated passion fruit.
So it doesn't, I don't get a tropical as much in the aroma, but I do get it in the flavor. Instantly when it hits the palate, it gets a little tropical.
Yeah, the aroma is much more like you were saying, dank, almost earthy.
It's about not quite twice the bitterness of our House West Coast IPA.
Okay.
We wanted to really chase the bitterness on this one.
Just a nice firm.
Yeah, not like tongue scratchy bitterness, but we wanted this one to just be very predominant.
Yeah,
And I think we hit it on the mark.
you did. It's really good. Yeah, it's so interesting to me sometimes when beers with this many hops, this much hops in them, can taste different than they smell. You know, and I'm not saying it's night and day on this, but I just did not get any of that tropics. I just got dank, and then boom, there it is. And it's still then dank in the aftertaste, which is nice. Gets a little kerosene, which I love about New Zealand hops. You get a little bit of that. Yeah, this is really nice. Simple malt bill on your IPAs too.
Yep. So with this one, we actually use Sinagua malt, which is a 2-row barley grown up in the Verde Valley. And then we blended that with some just Wireman pills.
All right.
Just simple split.
And you guys are big on Arizona ingredients as much as you can, or what?
We try to use them.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we. So I would say, I mean, going back to, we were similar to Wilderness and a couple other places. We were some of the first customers of Sinagua malt, and support. I think it's obviously we're conscious about being in a desert, right? And Sinagua is cool because they're shifting production of basically cotton and alfalfa over to like barley, which is much more water positive.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, they've gotten their malting down where they're hitting the malt profiles that we're looking for and like the protein levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, they just opened a new malt house recently.
That's what I heard. It's nice that you can get malt that's grown and malted right here.
Right.
I mean, you guys, I hope you know how unique that is, right?
Yeah, well, not only grown and malted, but also like dialed in to like, because I think early on, as you would expect with any kind of startup, it took a while to really start hitting one, price point, but also quality levels as you would get from a environment.
Yeah.
Of like, we're looking for this level of protein and color and and consistent.
Yeah.
And they've gotten there.
And so you guys you gave that feedback,
Oh,
is what
for
you're
sure.
saying. Yeah. That's nice.
There's another local farmer, Grain R&D, who's actually no longer Grain R&D. They're becoming Homestead Malting and also creating their own malt house
Okay.
south of here.
It's an expensive
We've used them
endeavor.
in the past. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, this is a nice beer. And
And full circle, ironically, Intel, going back, they funded a lot of these projects to support like water conservation in Arizona, and they actually, had incentives for farmers to swap from, these high water use crops to like barley, which was some of these barley farmers that we're talking about.
That's great,
Yeah.
which is what farmers need, right? I mean, and it's better that I think that it comes privately like that, like because in the middle of the country they're getting incentives from the government, like corn. Why do we have so much corn? Well, because there's a subsidy for that.
Yeah, no shit.
But and corn didn't really solve a lot of as many problems as like being, like you said, kind of water conscious here.
Right.
So that's nice. Good beer. And you said this is like double the IBU of your house IPA?
Almost.
Yeah.
We pushed the limits on this one.
Do you have your house IPA too here?
Yeah, right here. Renovation.
Can we try it next to it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, the House West Coast.
Yeah. While we're at it.
House
why
West
not?
Coast, yeah.
With a W, renovation.
Clever.
Yeah, I like it. I like the can design too.
And this one is changed significantly since we first brewed it in 2015. It was more almost like an English IPA, if you will, of
crystal malt and
very sweet,
Mm-hmm.
or more on the sweet end, bitter, and now it's become more of a classic West Coast. I would say.
Were you and your partner homebrewers before you opened?
Well, so Preston came from Big Sky, so he brewed at Big Sky in Montana for a number of years.
So there's your crystal malt stuff. Oftentimes when I hear people say that their original, like their Wilderness is OG IPA, it's their core IPA. It was way more crystal before the new guys got a hold of it.
Right.
And that usually comes from a home brewer. That's why I asked.
Okay.
Or at Big Sky. That totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, well, tell me about your house IPA then, which is also West Coast.
Yep. This one is just even a simpler grain bill than what Ruru was. This one uses our 2-row out of our silo up in Prescott. So this one is classic hops, Cascade. We actually have some of our selected Mosaic thrown in here as well. So you get some of that fruitiness. Not like the Cohia Nelson fruitiness like Ruru, but you get it on the aroma more than you get the tropicalness on Ruru.
Yeah.
So lower bitterness, just really easy to drink. This one is ABVs lower than what Ruru was. But like Drew was saying, it's just this one changes over time.
Okay.
We're always dialing this one in. This one we've played around with some of the city water up in Prescott on too.
Definitely has a higher SRM, right? So it's not just I like this a lot. Having them side by side, I would go for the more bitter one. But if I might have said the opposite if I had this one first, to be honest with you. Because like you said, it is easy drinking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in the tap room, like we were discussing, this one has, we can't keep it on the shelves. It's just West Coast drinkers right now in our tap room are wiping us out.
That's good news. That's music to my ears.
So in the market and in the tap room, this beer specifically, I think because it has that lower bitterness, does phenomenal.
Is it your best-selling beer, or is it lager?
Oh, I don't have those numbers.
What do you think?
No, I mean Spellbinder, our house hazy is.
That's your bestseller. Interesting.
2 or 3x anything else.
And that's a hazy IPA?
Yeah, it's this one.
Okay. Interesting.
That's the one we won a gold for back in COVID.
Okay. Yeah, I probably streamed that for you. There was
think
no
you did.
actual
Yeah,
GABF. They flew me out and
Sponsored by
stuck me in an
Cincinnati
office.
Insurance, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was.
That's interesting. I actually thought you guys were going to tell me that a lager out here in Arizona might be your bestseller.
You would think so, but yeah, I mean, it's still very much a hazy environment down here.
Yeah.
We have just started a Valley Beer Club based off our house lager.
Yeah.
So you get a punch card when you buy a 12-pack of Valley Beer, and that sign behind you, that neon sign,
Yeah, I
is
saw
if you
that.
buy 50 12-packs, and someone came in day one, and they were like, I'll buy 50.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah,
Whoa, okay.
And you get a neon sign if you do that? Is that what you're saying? Okay, wow.
We only have 5,
Wow, yeah.
so I think there's only 1 or 2 left.
One's behind me. I purposely faced away from it because I couldn't stare at it and do an interview the whole time.
No, Valley Beer does well in the tap room too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now you did pour your hazy IPA
Yeah,
for
sorry.
me.
This is
No, that's okay. I want to try it. That's a great head on that one, actually. Look at that. That's nice.
Yeah, so again, this is the one that we do a lot of the hop selection for. Our goal was to always make like a well-rounded hazy, not one way too extreme.
Yeah, we leave that to our one-offs really.
Okay, I can see why this is a bestseller. Your bestseller.
Yeah, so this is
It's fantastic.
It's I think it's very approachable.
Yeah.
It's like, if you like hazy IPAs,
Yeah.
you will like this.
It has the mouthfeel of a hazy, but not too much, right? So it's not, my mouth is not so coated that I don't want another drink. It's certainly tropical, right?
It has a nice like berry kind of aroma to it.
Yeah, that's really good. You guys kind of killed it on this. Do you use a centrifuge or something?
No.
Nope.
Do you do any sort of, I know this is a silly question to ask on haze, but a lot of brewers still use finings on hazy beers.
No finings, but we will use a coarse mesh filter. Or coarse soft
I mean,
filter
honestly,
for,
it's been the bane of our existence scaling up this beer.
Okay.
Because it was originally we brewed it here in our 10 barrel system.
Yeah.
And I would say if you were to compare the 10 barrel batch versus a Prescott batch at 30 barrels, it's different, right? So we've been dialing in how do you maintain haze stability? How do you keep that aroma and that quality on a bigger system?
So aside from the cost, have you considered a centrifuge?
It's on the list.
It's on the list. The first, I think it was Derek when he was at Moxa. I think so. I hope I got this right. Showed me, he was known for his hazy beers at that time and his pastry stouts.
Yeah.
And then he showed me his hazy beer going through a centrifuge, and I thought it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
Like, why are you making it clear?
What were you doing? And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm getting rid of that stuff we don't want. And it kind of opened my eyes. And then since then, I've talked to several brewers that are like, yeah, of course you could do that.
Right.
Yeah,
I know. It's kind of counterintuitive because
but at your scale, if you're trying to scale up, it's
Right.
like kind of the exact piece of equipment you're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, we've dialed in some various things over time to figure out how do you create that natural haze stability without needing centrifuge.
This is kind of a harsh question, not really for you, more for the industry, but like, aren't there like really good deals on brewery equipment all around the country right now? Like now that there's a sort of brewery apocalypse.
I mean, I'll make a bunch of brewers jealous listening to this. I mean, we literally a couple of weeks ago we bought like pallets of kegs for $30 a piece.
Wow, a pallet.
Keg shells. I mean, we're at $30 a pop.
Amazing.
I think we check auctions as much as we check the news. They're out there.
I mean, half of our production in Prescott is either Gordon Biersch equipment.
Oh, interesting.
Or, like Odell stuff.
Yeah.
Or you name it. It's a hodgepodge of breweries.
Yeah, someone just told me they bought like $1 million, canning line for $80,000 or some dumb thing. And it was just sad. That's why I said it's a harsh question, but I'm just wondering if maybe there's a centrifuge out there for you somewhere.
There might be. Yeah, well, there are.
You are looking,
There are some things that are high demand, right? Like the Anton Parr.
Oh yeah, all of
like
our
C-boxes
and piercers and all of the things.
I mean, those things go like hotcakes.
That makes sense. But yeah, I guess it makes it, you're like looking at it every day, all the equipment that you guys need. Right. Do you guys plan to expand to another brew house or just like more capacity in what you have?
Yeah, so I mean our whole strategy has been organic growth, and we basically grow until we like max out production, and then we figure out like the next step. Now we're trying to be a little more proactive and plan for production.
Smart.
Right now.
So right now we're maxed out.
You are at both facilities. Okay.
Both facilities we're maxed out. I mean, a lot of accounts are like out of stock on our beer because we can't make it fast enough.
Right. That's tough.
Which is a good problem to have, right? So now it's figuring out, we have 1.5 acres up in Prescott, and it's planning for that next expansion. But again, we don't want to go too big. We don't want to build a new facility and then, the market changes or whatever, and
Yep.
we
Yep.
have all this excess capacity.
Of course, as you've seen people make that mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've been of the approach of let's add a tank here and there.
Okay.
But now we're at a point where we can no longer add a tank here or there.
There's 0 square foot
because there's
available.
0 square footage available.
Got
So either it's like external fermenters or building a new building.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, if you guys have time, can we take a quick break?
Yeah,
of course.
And then come back, and I want to try the Ali Shonak. Of
course.
I keep feeling like I'm saying it wrong.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
At least I think it is.
All right. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to try some more beer and learn what we can about Wren House Brewing. Hang in there. You're listening to The Session. Welcome back to the program. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'm still at Wren House, and we've got time for, looks like one more beer. We've gotten through a good lineup here this morning, so I'm excited about that. Hey, don't forget that More Beer is our sponsor of this show and every show that we do. You can go to morebeer.com and check it out. And pretty much everything that we talk about on these shows, you can purchase for yourself at morebeer.com. Hops, malts, equipment, you name it. Just go over there, and when you do put in an order, there's a little notes field. Just thank them for supporting the Brewing Network, because they've been doing it for 20 years, and we wouldn't be here without them. So thanks to More Beer for bringing you this show at Wren House. All right, I think we're about to try a beer-wine hybrid, right? Is that what this beer is? Okay.
That is, yes.
Can I take a moment? This is going to be like a little side note. It's a celebration moment for me. Mm-hmm. At the Hop Grenade, I got in a little trouble about a year ago for selling cider on my beer-only license. But I didn't do it on purpose. Right. I just thought cider was in the same class as beer. Right. Until the ABC agent, who was very stern, came in recently, or about a year ago, and told me I was violating the law.
You can't play dumb.
I did, but it's not, and I know this, it's not a good defense. I told her, she said, I didn't just play dumb, I am dumb. The agent was like, yeah, we're going to need your records for the past 18 months. And I was like, really? Because I've been selling it for 10 years. And she just kind of looked at me and smiled, like she was like, okay, guy, you are going to be an easy case.
You're right.
Well, while I was here, so I've gone through the whole thing, and there was an investigation, and they were actually quite nice to me. It turns out it seems to be a bit of a problem in California that there were many dummies like me that didn't know. If you're a California Type 40 license holder, listen to my words. The definition is whatever the fermentable is what ABC uses. So if the primary fermentable is fruit,
correct,
it's wine.
Correct.
Right. Well, you know this, and me and many others didn't. Anyhow, so I go through all that, and they complete their investigation. And in the meantime, I file for a new license, which is in California, it's a Type 41, which allows me finally, after all these years, to sell beer, cider, and wine, which I've been wanting to do the whole time anyway. And I was out in the middle of the desert with the Arizona Wilderness Boys, and I get a text message from my staff that my new Type 41 license arrived. And this will be the first almost sip of wine I've had since I'm a wine license holder. Nice. So I thought I would cheers to you guys and celebrate with this. The Hop Grenade 41. Will now be, first of all, fully legal. Second of all, enhance our offerings.
Excellent.
Yeah. So this, though, and we'll get into your beer now, I'm assuming it's still classified as a beer because that's mostly the fermentable?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and side note on the cider piece, we've also chatted about doing cider hybrids because Superstition Mead is literally next door to us in Prescott, where we brew. So, what we've learned is as long as it's like, to your point, like 51% barley, then you're good.
Got it. It's literally the majority.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You're like, well, and then you could tell your agent, well, this is 51%.
Technically, yeah.
And they're like, yeah, here's your fine.
Exactly.
And your license is revoked.
And maybe I shouldn't say that. I want to throw the ABC was very, very nice to me, and there was not a fine. Yeah. And it probably could be because I just dumped all of the facts in front of them.
Right. Like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, let's go easy on him.
We need to spare him from his own stupidity.
Right.
So this is Ali Shonak. Mm-hmm. Where does the name come from? Do we know?
Do you know
anymore?
That'll be a pressing question.
Okay. So, I mean, Ali Shonak, it's, it's basically inspired off of some Mesoamerican sort of like
Okay.
Arizona history.
Oh, nice. Okay. Got it. And why beer wine hybrid? Whose idea and what was the purpose of that?
So this is the first year we've done it with wine.
Okay.
Well, first and a half. Part of it last year was split off.
Yeah. I mean, so we've done a few wine hybrids, I would say, over the years. So we do, again, Arizona has some wine growing regions. So we have brought in grape juice from a couple of wineries or vineyards locally. And we've done, various like wine hybrid IPAs as an example. Over the years, but this was more of an intentional, hey, we're going to brew like a bigger beer that is going to have more grape juice and quality as part of the beer.
So it's getting more fermentable in there, but then, of course, adding flavor and color.
Looking for more character from the grapes.
Okay. Yeah, it surprises me that there's wineries in Arizona. I think I'm a big Tool fan.
Yeah.
I think the dude Maynard from Tool has a winery here, right? What's it called?
Caduceus.
Have you had the wine?
I have.
Is it any good?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Well, so Arizona, I mean, like if we play just layman's terms, it's very similar to like Spain, right?
Okay.
So Spanish wines.
Yeah.
A lot of those varieties grow really well in Arizona because it's hot and it's dry.
And rocky.
It's rocky.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of bigger wines that are like higher alcohol, but also super intense from like a fruit point of view. So a lot of the growers here grow like Spanish varieties.
Okay. Yeah. So this one in particular is 49% ordinary.
Well, less than that.
A little less, but it is
so
40-ish percent.
So we use, local. So the whole point of this beer is to showcase Arizona. So again, it's, Arizona barley from Sinagua. It's Pima wheat and corn from a local. So it's like
Farms.
pink corn that we actually, what do you call it? Like malt, basically.
Yeah, this beer's gone through evolutions. We malted our own corn the first year. That was quite the undertaking.
Okay.
This time around,
put it in an oven at a certain temperature for a certain amount of time, so it.
We malted it over the week, or we germinated it over the weekend in our mash tun, and then we took it home and kilned it separately. We made a competition out of it. Whoever brought the most pounds back on brew day, I lost.
So everybody's house smelled like corn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So now we'll just do an early gelatinization of the corn in the mash tun, and then pull it out and top it off when we do the mash on this specific beer.
Okay.
But it's all local grain. It's a Sinagua barley, like we talked about earlier, and the Ramona Farms wheat and corn as well. So that's the base, all Arizona. The other things that go into this beer is every year we do, so hops grow wild in Arizona.
I just learned that last night. Yep. Blew my mind.
Yeah. So we've got some hot spots, and this year we hit about 4 of them. It was probably a 16-hour day. It was a long day. It was a good day. It was a long day. And we just bring grain bags out, and we just fill them with hops.
Yeah.
And then we take them home. We just let them dry in the sun, and then we actually vacuum seal them, and that's our hop additions in the kettle.
Interesting.
So it's just the Neo Mexicanas. Just Preston actually went through a lot of paperwork and filings to actually get the exact gene of these hops, seeing if they were a new variety or what he thought they were. It turns out they are what he thought they were.
Yeah, but I mean, so going back to Ali Shonak, I mean, so the inspiration is obviously, going back to the roots of Arizona. So it's actually inspired from a Native American word, which is Ali Shonak, which was led to Arizona, like the term Arizona.
Oh, so this is some real Arizona
This
history.
is real Arizona.
I love
So
it. Okay.
I mean, we also use like native yeast, so this is like spontaneously fermented.
Okay.
So this one used, last year we co-pitched with some local grapes as well from a local winery. So we propped the yeast up from last year's batch, and then when we also combined the wine juice with the wort, we didn't pitch any traditional brewer's yeast. We just let it was fresh pressings. I drove up near Cottonwood to get the actual toad of the wine juice, bring it back in, combine them on brew day. So no brewer's yeast, just a natural off of those fresh pressings.
Interesting.
And then with a little bit of the co-pitch from last year's prop.
Okay.
Just to keep it going year over year.
We'll
do the same thing for next year. But Cactus Crew, a natural wine producer out here in Arizona, he has an earlier harvest than normal wineries.
Okay.
Because he actually wants that natural acidity to it. So we drove up, we pressed them, took them back that day, harvest them, and it's just there's so many moving parts on this brew, and they all come back on brew day and have to happen at the right time. Harvesting hops has to happen at the right time, because if you're too late, they're brown, they're wilted, you don't see them. If you're too early, they're just not there.
I'm glad you're giving this info, because the show that will have just posted before this, I'm recording a bunch at a time, folks at home. This home brewer is out hiking with his brother or something, and stumbles on these hops. And as his story tells, at first he thinks it's weed, and then he realizes pretty quickly that it's hops. He gathers a bunch, brings them home, seals them in a Ziploc, puts them in the freezer. But he finds pretty quickly, like, he leaves them there for a while, then goes on brew day. He's like, I'm going to use those hops I found. And he's like, they were like nothing. There was no aroma. There was nothing. So he didn't end up brewing with them on that first batch. He goes hiking back and then brewed with them in the desert, because he felt like he needed to immediately pick them and use wet hops in the beer. Yeah. But you guys, and there's not a ton of hop aroma coming out of this, let's be honest, right? Like, maybe you were just going for some bittering and maybe a little flavor.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And I can't imagine the alpha acids on these hops or anything.
No.
But once you dry them like that, it almost doesn't matter, I assume.
The weight was it's almost demoralizing how much you get day of and how much you get after they're dried.
Interesting.
Because you see them in the bags on brew day, and you're like,
48
hours ago, this looked like a lot more than what we have right now.
Right. Yeah.
But
is there any other hop in there besides this wild hop?
There's a small early addition for a touch of bitterness.
Okay.
But this is 95+% of the hops in this entire beer.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, and we also, right around the corner, it's strange that there's a National Forest Service ranger station right here.
Interesting.
In town. But we get a lot of game and fish and forest guys that come into the tap room, and they'll share with us hey, I saw a bunch of wild hops out, and they give us the coordinates. And that's how we go out and pick them.
Dude, that's so cool. And stuff, I've been making fun of Arizona for so long, and I keep getting proven wrong on these when I interview you guys.
I mean, the wilderness guys do a great job of explaining the beauty of Arizona.
Yes, yes.
And we're also trying to, just to add to that story. But yeah, I mean, it is a very diverse state.
It's unique,
yes.
And diverse. Yeah, which is what I keep getting corrected about. It's also diverse, man.
We do have to drive a few hours away from Phoenix to find the hop.
To get that, yeah. But that's fun. I mean, let's get out there. Yeah. The wilderness guys, they took me a couple hours out just to do a cool shit beer, on this trip too. Right. So there'll be an episode about that also. Right. So I'm glad you mentioned the yeast, because it's all basically spontaneous. Because I was going to ask, and maybe even separate from this beer, are there things you have to do differently to get a good fermentation when it's almost half and half wine and beer, or is it just kind of do its thing like normal?
So wine ferments quick, and hot. And it's just very fast.
I see.
And it dries it out very, very quickly. It finishes less than one Plato. It's a very dry product.
If you let it sugar, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's a very hearty natural yeast in it.
Okay.
We control it with temperature a little bit, but we wanted this one to happen pretty quickly at the beginning, and then we cooled it down to let it finish and lager. This lagered for almost 4 months.
Oh wow. Lagered. So you kept it in a cold tank for 4 months.
Yep. We actually it's a little tank called Reba, and it's on casters, and it was in our cold box.
That's awesome.
So, and we were tasting it. It clarified a lot more over the 4 months. So if you actually swirl the bottom of that bottle, you get a real bright blush color to it.
Okay.
And then you get the little kind of orangey rosé color if you don't do that.
For our listeners, it basically to me looks like a rosé. Mm-hmm. It does taste
like a natural orange wine almost.
Exactly. Yeah. And in fact, it does have some citrus rosé characteristics to it. It neither, as you would expect, it neither tastes like a beer or a wine, right? It is truly a hybrid. I would say it leans a little more on the wine side. If I gave this to a person who said, "Oh, I don't drink beer, I drink wine," and I poured this in their glass, they would say, "Thank you." Yeah. That's all they.
Well, I mean, so it's funny because natural wine has such a huge range, right? I mean, it's and good and bad, right? I've had plenty of natural wines that are not great, that are whatever. So yeah, you could give this to somebody and they'd be like, oh yeah, that falls in the category of maybe some sort of natural sparkling wine.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to say, oh, that's the best rosé I've ever
Right,
had,
or
but a
that's
natural
a
sparkling
beer?
wine.
Yeah.
They're definitely not going to say it's a beer. They're going to say, thanks for not giving me beer.
Right.
Which is cool. I think that's a really cool, the way you guys did it. Do you have, because the wine ferments, the grapes ferment so fast and low, do you have to build up the malt bill on the other side, or
Yep.
do you keep it simple?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
But with the attenuation that wine gets, this beer ended up around 8%. So when it finished lower and it got that low, it's not too big of a lager base that we blend it with, or field beer. It's not really styled that we have to the actual Ali Shonak.
Yeah.
But it's not too big, but the wine's attenuation all the way down is what brought it to 8%.
I see. Well, you guys are doing a better job at sipping than me. I must really like this. It's like it's really good.
I'm gonna give you a little swirl.
There, yeah. Let me see the cloudy part. Yeah, just a little bit in there. Do you distribute outside of Arizona? Are you just Arizona?
I mean, a little bit. It's really sporadic. I mean, we do some shipments abroad and then to California, like in our summer. So our summers here are obviously brutal.
Yeah.
But business dies down a lot in like June, July, where in other parts of the country it actually is like their peak season.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we do ship some pallets to like California, San Diego, LA, Northern California during the summer.
Nice.
So it allows us to keep our production at 100%.
Okay. Well, put Hop Grenade on your list.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it'd be cool to serve this next to our new wine list,
Yeah,
too.
that'd be rad.
That'd be fun.
It's legal.
Yeah, people really like this.
Yeah.
So we so speaking of one of the collaborators that we did this with, Derek Christensen, who's a local chef here. He was on Chopped. He's got some James Beard nominations. He's part of he originally was part of this restaurant called Bacanora out here. That's big like open fire restaurant. And some other places, but they'll have this in bottles it's almost like, what everybody talked about forever of, beer is going to get to the point where you can present it on like a quality to quality basis as wine or enjoy it with a fine meal or whatever. This is kind of a nice kind of step into that where it's a wine hybrid. It's in a fancy looking bottle.
Yeah.
People can order it and drink it and enjoy it. And it's, they're not going to hate it because it's not a beer. They're not going
to. Right. I think it's great. And by the way, I've had some beer wine hybrids before. Not this good. This is really good. You guys did a nice job on this.
I appreciate it.
So well done. Is there any barrel aging or is it stainless all?
This one was all stainless.
Yeah, okay.
We've done barrel rested versions. So it's a different beer every year, this Ali Shonak series. So the first year portion of it was rested in Desert Door Sotol barrels out of Texas.
So Sotol, it's like almost like a.
It's almost like an agave.
It's
it's a mezcal type. It's an agave family plant, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
So it's a tequila-ish type cocktail.
So we put half in those type of barrels and half in
the Sotol barrels, and then the adjunct on that year's release was not grapes. The first year we didn't touch grapes at all. It was a spice blend that was open fermented next to the open fire grill at Bacanora. That was Derek's creation. So it had this real just like pesto-y herbal flavor to it. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Polarizing to some, but the final product was, again, all Arizona. We don't have a immediate goal for this. Mm-hmm. We just every year we just try to make something new that's all Arizona.
Well, plus
that we
when
can
you
do.
get chefs involved, it gets very chefy.
Yes, which can be really great.
Yeah, oh yeah,
or
for sure. Or
expensive.
You're like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. Well, you guys knocked it out of the park with this one. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I do. I like the wine character, the grapiness of it.
Yeah.
Of the 3 years, this is my favorite vintage that we've done.
Nice. Good job.
So if you're back next early fall,
I think
come pick hops with us.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So you guys are celebrating your 10-year anniversary this year.
Yes.
Right? Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's hard to do.
Yes.
10 years. Hop Grenade. We just had our 10-year at Hop Grenade, too.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. We did. You guys are doing a cool thing. You're doing a celebration every month?
Every month. Yeah, we have a different event. So we talked about the Lagerfest earlier. That's going to be one of them. We just had Gravy Day. We're going to have a Spellbinder Day. So a bunch of variations of Spellbinder. So we're going to just rolling thunder 10-year approach.
I love it.
give people a theme. And people
Yeah. We did 10 collaborations for 10 years. We with all of our favorite Bay Area breweries. It was an honor for me, actually. It was super cool.
Awesome.
Our collaborations were like, yeah, you guys do it, and we'll show up and take pictures because they know what they're doing.
Right.
But yeah, we got to brew with Russian River and Ghost
Nice.
Town.
Very
And,
nice.
That's fun.
It was nice. So 10 years is a big deal. So congratulations on that. Where can people go to find out more information? What's the website address?
I mean, well,
Wren House?
renhousebrewing.com.
There we
But yeah, I mean, Instagram
And socials?
is main or-
Wren House, it's a W-R-E-N, if you don't know, if you're from out of state. It's Wren House Brewing. If you're from in-state, you already know this. My Arizona listeners know about you guys. You've got 3 locations with a 4th about to open. Cask Bar opening soon. I'm going to be there. You'll see. And I'm going to be there cheering you on.
We'll be there too.
You're going to do great. You are. I promise. The more I say it, like, you're going to do fine. Yeah. I'm helping you out. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today and listening to my show On the Road. It's been a lot of fun for me to be here. Really great to meet you guys. Don't forget about our sponsors. Of course, you got More Beer. 21st Amendment Brewing Company. Been there with us since almost day 1, 2. And Sean O'Sullivan's a real nice person. So if you see him out in the wild, say hello from the Brewing Network. Get your Beersmith brewing software. Go to beersmith.com and check it out. You can get a free trial. And if you're a home brewer, I don't know what you're doing without Beersmith brewing software. You need to get that and make your beer better. All right, guys. I think I get to the pleasure of having a tour of your brewery after this recording, so I'm excited about that. Maybe I get to meet the cat, the famous cat, Gravy.
100% he's over there, probably sitting on the bar right now.
Getting fed something.
Right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us on the road. I might have another on the road show coming for you, but otherwise, hey, if you haven't gotten your tickets to Spring Brews Festival yet, it's March 29th. Get your tickets right now. Spring Brews Festival in Concord, California. 60 breweries as we do. 2 bands, tons of food trucks. It's our 14th year. So come out and celebrate with us. Get your tickets. They're only $65, and we get some comments about that, and I'm like, man, you can barely leave your house for $65. That's $1 a brewery you're paying, and if you do the math right, you're going to realize that $65 is about the best price on the planet. So come see us at Spring Brews Festival. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves and your beer.